There was pink triangles that pointed outwards from the center. As the phosphenes grew, the silence and the stillness grew as well. And a gap formed in what I saw. Eventually, this was filled with a clover honey, with raspberries, with flour, and with nuts on a silver plate. A golden cup of grayish liquid washed it all away when the colors completely saturated, and the warmth that passed from the front of my torso to my legs and then all over became complete and soothing in the mix of colors obscuring the room. One thing that would help is if the foreign names and terms given in the plays and otherwise in this book were given literal meaning and a complete, or more complete, contextual meaning. And they decided, for eloquence purposes, to have their whole name in Latin. Spring is of marriage, union, and a complete alchemical set, as you could say. Milk and honey are more valuable symbols, one could say. The order of the seasons is not as complete as in Feraferia, and some things don't have quite the same connotation, but Southern California is closer in its climate to what is now thought of as Israel, and so this Phoenician, Canaanite, Palestinian mythology fits in a little bit better with that. Wood or otherwise, the use of the sacred poles very much stands in contrast to the biblical tradition. But some churches use honey mead and milk ritually, sometimes in the place of the wine, because, their focus is on life, not the cost of the life. With spring, we see the rising time of the sun. Oil was something that they anointed people with, or people anointed themselves before the consummation of marriage. So that's part of the reason behind that as part of the ceremony. And that which is good for a couple people or one person If it's a spiritual gift, it tends to be something towards the benefit of all. So that is represented in their pageant. There's more, but I'm not doing a complete commentary here, but definitely they're dividing the king and the queen role. With the Holy Grail, people consume while it's available, but sometimes come to an end. Sort of we see in the Lord ritual of the summer solstice, not only the sulfur element, but the idea of men do a lot of work, they're tired, possibly give up their lives, but then again, Mont Salvat got its name from the Grail Castle, and that is the headquarters of the Ordo Templi Astartes, a permanent temple location. Another important myth about wheat, aside from the impact on wheat from different directions, indicating the different stages in processing the wheat. You might want to look at the Hermit card, some indications with that. But another sense is the heta henta thing, repentance versus wheat. And so there's a secret connection between the symbolism of the wheat. And it's more, the vegetation myths are more than just replacements for the animal slaughter, cannibalism myths. When impacted at our greatest or strongest or whatever utmost, hey, things are still at their height. So there can be development according to that, right? But sometimes society or the method or whatever isn't complete in itself. So the feminine comes in and plays a role with that. There might be something encoded in the 6 zodiacal rounds. I forget exactly what that comes to, but let's just say 150,000 years. Or maybe just the thought of 6-year periods. 3 per quadrant is the case in most mythologies. And that would blend in with the 72 jinn thing. And the first seasonal of the round, the vernal equinox, employs that, calling on the 4 types of elemental jinn. Because the jinn are any of the male and female beings, but they're specifically referring to that. But then again, you could say the planetary too. So the planetary jinn also. The congregation in the summer solstice rite is called to affirm life and cast aside death, to think of the spiritualization of the texts to come and their communal combination and such.